Have you ever stopped to consider why your efforts fall short? Why the days blend together without progress? Why the dream you speak of feels no closer today than it did a year ago? I will tell you why. Because the fire has gone out. Because you move through life with no flame, no fuel, no spark in your step or conviction in your voice. Because you have not yet learned the first law of lasting success, that enthusiasm is the gateway to all power, and without it you will remain nothing more than a whisper in a world that rewards only those who roar. Success is not handed to the lukewarm. It is not bestowed upon the hesitant, nor inherited by the idle. Success is attracted, magnetized, to the man who moves with energy, with passion, with an unwavering sense of urgency and belief in the worth of his mission. The man who acts with enthusiasm does not beg for attention. He commands it. He does not wait to be told what to do. He moves because motion is his native language. He breathes it. He walks in it. He becomes the physical embodiment of momentum. Act with enthusiasm, and success will follow. Say that again. Let it echo into your bloodstream. Let it vibrate against every excuse you've told yourself for waiting, because action alone is not enough. Emotionless, hollow action, robotic, hesitant motion will never move the needle. You must act with feeling, with force, with fire in your gut and thunder in your chest. There is no room in this world for half-hearted men. There is no victory for the indifferent. There is no greatness for the bored. The doors of success swing open not for those who knock timidly, but for those who kick them open with enthusiasm dripping from every fiber of their being. You don't need more strategy, you need more soul. Enthusiasm is not noise. It is not show. It is not a smile painted over frustration. It is the deep, burning certainty that what you are doing matters, that your life is not an accident, that your breath is a privilege, that your time is currency, and you have chosen to spend it on a mission worth dying for. That's what enthusiasm is. Spiritual fire, purpose expressed through movement. And you must choose it. You must choose it every morning when doubt tries to greet you before the sun. You must choose it in the silence when no one applauds. You must choose it when failure knocks, when fatigue whispers, when the path ahead looks uphill and uncertain. Because it is in those moments when most men retreat that the enthusiastic man rises. He rises not because it's easy, but because he has trained himself to move anyway. He has disciplined his nervous system to link action to identity, not emotion. He no longer asks, how do I feel? He declares, this is who I am. And who is that man? He is the one who knows that effort without enthusiasm is empty. He is the one who understands that repetition without feeling is the death of progress. He is the one who brings presence, passion, and posture to every task, no matter how small. He has burned the bridge to mediocrity. He does not flirt with average. He does not entertain the idea of a lukewarm life. Say it again. Act with enthusiasm, and success will follow. But you cannot fake it. The world knows. The law knows. You may fool your peers, but you will never fool the forces that shape destiny. They respond not to words, but to frequency. And enthusiasm carries the highest frequency of all. It is faith in motion. It is vision made audible. It is belief that has become behavior. You don't need to see results to act with enthusiasm. You act with enthusiasm so that results appear. You don't need evidence to move with passion. Your passion creates the evidence. Because the man who acts as if success is already his draws it closer with every step. He collapses time. He bends reality. Not by magic, but by mastery, the mastery of his inner world. This is where the great divide forms. The masses wait. They wait for a feeling. They wait for motivation. They wait for the clouds to part and permission to descend. But the successful, they move. They move when tired. They move when uncertain. They move when unseen. Because their enthusiasm does not come from circumstance, it comes from within. They have built it, brick by brick, through the discipline of attitude, through the structure of belief, through the relentless rehearsal of truth spoken aloud again and again until the subconscious bends and the body follows. And you must do the same. You must become your own furnace. You must become the source of your own fire. Every day, stoke it, speak to it, feed it. Say, I am not my fears. I am not my failures. I am not my fatigue. I am enthusiasm embodied. I am the living energy of my purpose. I am the rhythm of my vision turned into work, and my work turned into wealth. Say it again and again, until your entire nervous system begins to believe, because that belief is what fuels action, not vague hope, not shallow desire, but belief charged with emotion. That is the formula, that is the path. Thought plus feeling repeated equals identity, and identity acted upon with enthusiasm creates destiny. This is not philosophy. This is power. This is the architecture of greatness. This is the path carved by discipline, paved by intention, and traveled with urgency. And it begins with how you show up, how you move through your morning, how you speak into your day, how you carry yourself when no one is watching. That is where the fire is kindled. That is where the future is built. You must stop treating enthusiasm like a luxury. It is a necessity. Without it, your work decays. Your thoughts weaken. Your spirit begins to rot from within. But with it, you become divine. Not in the eyes of men, in the eyes of the law. Because the law responds to power, and enthusiasm is power. So I challenge you now. Examine your posture. Examine your tone. Examine your steps. Are you moving like the man who already possesses the life you claim to want? Are you speaking with the voice of one who believes the vision is already real? Are you executing with a level of energy that says, I was born for this? If not, why not? What excuse could possibly survive in the presence of this truth? You are not tired. You are uninspired. You are not overwhelmed. You are under-enthused. You are not stuck. You are stationary by choice. But that ends today. Because now you know. Now you see the code. Now you understand that success does not chase the slow, the doubtful, the hesitant. It runs to meet the man in motion, the man on fire, the man who acts with enthusiasm. You can choose to stay where you are, or you can rise with fire in your eyes, thunder in your chest, and a declaration on your lips that says, I will move with energy. I will speak with conviction. I will build with faith. I will live with enthusiasm, because the man who does cannot be stopped. Not by time, not by failure, not by fear, not by the world, because that man has become a force, and the world moves for a force. You are a force. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not here to drift or dabble or wonder if your life will amount to something. You are here for a reason, a cause, a definite mission that demands your full attention, your complete participation, and your highest level of energy. That energy is enthusiasm, and it is not optional. It is your duty. If your life is flat, if your progress is stalled, if your days feel dull, it is not because your dream has died. It is because your spirit has fallen asleep. It is because your body has forgotten what your soul already knows. That enthusiasm is the sacred spark that awakens the divine in man. And once that spark is alive, nothing can stay the same. No fear can survive it, no weakness can withstand it, no lie can coexist with it. But you must keep it burning. It does not stay lit on its own. It is not passive. It is a flame you must feed daily with purpose, with movement, with declarations of power spoken aloud and carried out in real time. You cannot whisper your way to greatness. You cannot think your way to victory. You must live it, speak it, move like it is already yours. And how do you do this? You decide. You decide that you will never again approach your life as though it were ordinary. You decide that every day you wake up, you will act with such intensity, such conviction, such vibrational authority that the air around you shifts. You walk into rooms differently. You shake hands differently. You look people in the eye, not with arrogance, but with certainty. The certainty of a man who knows who he is. The certainty of a man who has trained his mind to respond with power, even when the outcome is unclear. The certainty of a man who no longer waits for circumstances to give him permission to act, because he is the circumstance. He is the event. He is the force that bends the world into shape. You must become that man. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels easier. Now, enthusiasm is not something you wear. It is something you become. It is not a tone of voice or a louder volume. It is not theatrical. It is spiritual. It is the divine intersection between thought and belief, between knowing and becoming. It is where your intention meets your identity and says, this is who I am now. This is how I move now. This is how I live now. And once that shift is made, once that internal system is calibrated, there is no return to the old ways. You may feel tired, but you will still move. You may feel fear, but you will still decide. You may hear the whispers of self-doubt, but they will no longer hold power, because the voice of enthusiasm will drown them out. Because enthusiasm is louder than fear. It is stronger than hesitation. It is more powerful than excuse. And it is available to any man willing to claim it. You don't need to be gifted. You don't need to be favored. You don't need a perfect past or a flawless plan. You need a fire, a decision, a will so unbreakable that even the universe says, we must move for this one. And the moment you decide to live with that fire, your life begins to bend. People see it, they feel it, they respond to it, not because you are selling them something, but because you are something. You have become the product of discipline, the expression of vision, the walking manifestation of belief, multiplied by action. You no longer need to try to be confident, you radiate it. You no longer need to convince yourself you're worthy, you walk like it. This is the man whose habits become holy. This is the man whose presence shifts the frequency of every room he enters. This is the man who carries victory in his posture, not because he has won, but because he knows he cannot lose as long as he continues to act with enthusiasm. Success is not a finish line. It is a side effect. It is the consequence of showing up daily with more energy than the problem brings resistance. You do not defeat failure with logic, you destroy it with energy. You do not outrun fear with hope, you obliterate it with enthusiasm. Because enthusiasm is not a feeling, it is a weapon. It is your sword in the battle against self-doubt. It is your shield in the storm of mediocrity. It is your engine in the climb toward destiny. And you must sharpen it, guard it, feed it, use it. Because if you don't, the world will feed you something else, distraction, fear, confusion, weakness. And if you allow it, you will forget who you are. But not today. Today you remember. Today you reclaim the fire. Today you say, I move with power. I speak with force. I decide with boldness. I act with enthusiasm, and success follows. You see, the law has already been written. It is not emotional. It does not discriminate. It simply obeys frequency. It moves in response to the man who has aligned thought, belief, speech, and behavior. So, if you are out of alignment, if your thoughts are small, your words weak, your actions lazy, then your results will reflect it. But change the signal, and the result must change. Say this aloud: my energy is sacred. My enthusiasm is holy. My presence is powerful. And feel the shift begin. Feel your chest rise with breath charged by purpose. Feel your shoulders square as responsibility transforms into privilege. Feel your eyes sharpen with the awareness that you are no longer walking through life asleep. You are here. You are awake. You are alive with fire. And that fire has one command: move. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's comfortable. Now, move with intensity. Move with rhythm. Move with clarity. Move like a man whose soul was lit by the match of his own decision. And you will see the weight you once carried begins to feel lighter. The obstacles you once feared begin to dissolve. The noise of the world begins to fade. Because the man who acts with enthusiasm does not chase energy, he creates it. He does not beg for opportunity, he builds it. He does not wait for the world to wake up to his greatness, he declares it with every step. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the natural outcome of a man who has finally remembered his identity and is no longer willing to live beneath it. So say this now: no more half effort, no more hesitation, no more hoping. I act with enthusiasm, I speak with conviction, I build with force, and I do it daily, because that is who I am now. Your habits are a mirror. Your energy is a magnet. Your motion is your message. So make it loud, make it bold, make it unstoppable, because success is already waiting. Not for your perfection, not for your plan, but for your presence, your enthusiastic presence. The force of a man fully alive in his purpose, fully lit with power, fully committed to movement, and fully aware that the fire he carries is not borrowed, it is earned each day with discipline and decision. So rise and walk like a man on fire. Rise and speak like a man who no longer doubts. Rise and move like the law of success has no choice but to follow your lead. Because it doesn't. Not when you act with enthusiasm, and not when you do it with conviction that burns so bright it scorches your old self behind you. You are no longer that man, the hesitant one, the one who second-guessed his gifts, the one who dimmed his light to fit in. That version of you is gone. In his place stands a force, a standard, a man so focused, so alive, so infused with energy that the world has no choice but to respond. And it will. It always does, because the law is simple. Act with enthusiasm and success will follow. You have come this far. You have risen through resistance. You have stood when others sat, acted when others paused, pushed when others broke. And still I ask you, will you now hesitate? Will you now go backward? Or will you decide today, right now, that the rest of your life will be lived under a new law, the law of enthusiasm? Because it is a law. It is not luck. It is not personality. It is not given to some and withheld from others. It is a spiritual principle, a universal force, and it moves with power only when you move with presence. Do not underestimate this. Success has always been a game of frequency. The man who operates on the highest level of energy, intention, and belief is the man the world must reward. Not because he is louder, not because he is favored, but because he has aligned himself with cause and effect, he sows with power, and so he reaps with force. That is what enthusiasm is, a cause. It is the cause that precedes effect. It is the origin of momentum. It is the vibration that cracks open the hard shell of resistance and lets opportunity flood in. And yet how few understand this. How many waste their lives in waiting rooms, staring at the clock of motivation, begging for a reason to rise. They say, I don't feel like it. They say, I'm not ready yet. They say, one day I'll start. And I say, no, you won't. Not until you decide that enthusiasm is not a result, it is the beginning. It is the reason you start. And once you start, you never stop. You become the man who generates energy instead of waiting to feel it. You become the man who creates movement instead of watching others pass him by. You become the man who lifts others not because he tries to, but because the sheer force of his presence demands a shift. Your enthusiasm becomes contagious. Your presence becomes catalytic. Your walk becomes instruction. Your work becomes revelation. You are no longer someone trying to succeed. You are success in human form, and people feel it. Because the world doesn't believe what you say. It believes what you embody. And when you embody energy, purpose, and belief, the world opens for you. You walk through doors that were never even supposed to exist for you. You rise to levels that logic said you had no business reaching. You outperform men with more talent, more resources, more connections because you brought the one thing they didn't: fire. The man with fire always wins because the man with fire does not stop. He does not tire in the same way. He does not quit when the reward is delayed. He does not look back to measure how far he's come. He only asks, what's next? This is your path now. You are that man. The man who acts when no one claps. The man who moves when no one watches. The man who shows up not for validation, but because the mission is sacred. Say this with me now. My enthusiasm is sacred. My energy is intentional. My life is fire. My mission is holy. Say it again. Until your doubt begins to burn, until your hesitation starts to melt, until your fear begins to fade. You see, you've been lied to. Taught that success is about strategies, hacks, shortcuts. But here's the truth. Nothing outpaces pure, focused, enthusiastic energy. Nothing. Because when you act with enthusiasm, you go further on less sleep. You last longer under pressure. You learn faster, work sharper, stand stronger. You become immune to noise, blind to distraction, deaf to small talk. You become a force, and forces cannot be negotiated with. They can only be yielded to. This is what you must understand now. When you act with enthusiasm, you speak to the world in a language it must obey. You declare, I am here, I am moving, and I will not be stopped. And if you say it long enough, live it hard enough, breathe it deep enough, something shifts. Something permanent. You look in the mirror one day and realize you're not pretending anymore. You don't have to say the affirmations to believe them. You don't have to push yourself to act. You act because that's just who you are now. You've become it. And that's when the world takes its hands off the brakes. That's when the resistance starts to retreat. That's when the ideas land in your lap. That's when people say, there's something different about you. And you'll nod, not with arrogance, but with knowing. You'll know what happened. You burned away the old you. You built something real. You chose power when others chose comfort. You chose movement when others chose mood. You chose vision when others chose to sleep. You did not wait. You acted. And that decision changed everything. Because the man who acts with enthusiasm does not have to chase anything. He becomes the magnet. He becomes the example. He becomes the walking proof that energy aligned with purpose becomes inevitable progress. So say this now. I do not need more time. I do not need more chances. I need more fire. Say it until you believe it. Say it until the world echoes it back in results. Say it until your life reflects the intensity of your new standard. No more soft mornings. No more distracted work. No more passive living. You rise like a man on fire. You speak like a man with vision. You execute like a man who does not need applause. Because you've seen behind the curtain. You've discovered the one thing no one can give you, and no one can take away once you choose it. Enthusiasm. And when you guard it like your life depends on it, it does. It is your protection against the enemy of doubt. It is your defense against the virus of comparison. It is your antidote to the mediocrity that infects so many minds. You are no longer one of them. You are no longer drifting. You are no longer a servant to external circumstances. You are the master of your inner state. You've taken the throne of your own mind. And from that throne, you command your energy. You command your belief. You command your destiny. So act like it. Move like it. Speak like it. And when you feel tired, act anyway. When you feel afraid, move anyway. When the fire flickers, stoke it. Because that fire is your compass. That fire is your friend. That fire is your freedom. And every time you act with enthusiasm, that flame grows stronger. Until one day you look back and realize you don't just have success, you've become it. You don't just have progress, you've embodied it. You don't just talk the talk, you've built the walk. You don't need the world to agree. You are the proof. So say it one last time. Act with enthusiasm and success will follow. Not once, not sometimes, every time. This is your moment now. Burn the bridge behind you. Stand on the ashes of hesitation. Look forward. See the path. It's waiting for you to move. With passion, with purpose, with a thunder in your soul and a rhythm in your step. Move now and never stop moving. Because the man who acts with enthusiasm will never walk alone. He walks with purpose. He walks with power. He walks with the law on his side. And that man wins.